Hi, welcome to Quilting with Lori. My name is Lori Dickman, and today I have Scrappy Block number 25 to share with you. This one I'm calling Colorado in Spring, and I'll show you here in a minute the PDF. This is the Colorado block, and the PDF that you'll find attached in the description box below. I've done it up in green, so I'm calling it Colorado in Spring. I'm really looking forward to spring since we just got 6 inches of snow here where I live. And there's an idea for how to put the block together in a quilt on the back. So make sure that you download that PDF or save it to your computer so you'll have that information. Now let's take a look at how this block is put together. So for this 52-week series of Scrappy Blocks that I'm giving to you each and every Monday, I'm teaching you how to use your scrap stash to make beautiful quilts. And I'm going to have you pull today 4-inch squares to make the half-square triangles for this Colorado block. So grab your 4-inch bin and let's pull the squares that we're going to need. I'm going to show you the tabletop here so that you can see just exactly what I have pulled. So first of all, again, don't forget to download the PDF that gives you the fabric requirements that you're going to need for the block. And then I always like to put an idea for a special quilt on the back where you can make up more of this block that I'm teaching and use it in a quilt. And in this particular PDF, or this quilt, I'm simply placing the blocks. It's a 4x4, there's 16 blocks. And each time you look at this quilt, it looks like a different design is popping out at you. There's a secondary design, and it's just fun to be able to do something like that with your scrappy blocks. So have fun with that. I've got a pieced border around the outside edge as well. So check that out. That might be something that you'd like to do. But for the block itself, let's see what I have pulled. I went into my 4-inch scraps, and I pulled a total of 8 4-inch lights. I pulled a total of 4 4-inch mediums, and I wanted 2 different mediums. You'll notice in the PDF that there are these mediums and those mediums. So that's what I have done. And then I've also pulled 4 darks, and those 4 darks are going to be used in the half square triangles around the outer edge. And of course, with every single scrappy block pattern that I'm giving you, you can make it any value that you want. You can flip things around. If you want the background to be dark and then the block itself to be lights and mediums, that is great. Have fun with your scraps and do some wild and crazy things. So that would be fun. Now, what we're going to do with each and every one of these is create half square triangles. So to create our half square triangles, what we're simply going to do is pair up the darks and the mediums with a light, and they're all 4-inch squares, and I'm pairing them by laying them right sides together. And what we'll do then is we'll draw a diagonal line. You've seen this many times. I use this technique as I make all of my half square triangles using my Speedy Solutions scrap stash. Basically, we are going to draw a diagonal line from one corner to the opposite corner, and then we're going to stitch on that on each side, a scant 1/4 of an inch on each side of that diagonal line. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and show that to you. Once we have done that, we'll cut on the diagonal line, then we'll press it open and square each of these up to 3.5 inches, because each one of these half square triangles, and they'll each create 2 half square triangles, must be squared up to 3.5 inches. Let me show you that. I have my pairs of half square triangle units laying here next to my sewing machine, and I'm simply going to sew a scant 1/4 of an inch on each side of this drawn line. I'll do it in a chain stitch fashion where I'll stitch all the way down one side and then all the way back up the other side. Now, as you've seen me do this many times before, I like to trim by cutting from stitching line to stitching line across those corners, and that just helps to eliminate excess bulk. It's getting rid of some dog ears on each side. So I'm going to go through and do that on all of these squares as I separate them. And then I'm going to cut on the diagonal line to separate the half square triangle units. Then I'm going to square them up. So I'll meet you at the table here in a minute, and I'll show you as I square them up using my Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer. So I have cut many of these. I've squared them up already to 3.5 inches. I am using my Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer. I'm using trimmer A, and I am trimming them up using the 3.5 inch line. So I'm matching up that stitching line there to the stitching line on the block itself, or the half square triangle. So I'm lining that up, and then I'm simply trimming around the outer two sides. And then what's really great about the clearly slotted trimmer is you can actually get rid of the dog ears. There's these little slots on each side, and it allows you to get rid of the dog ears, which is great. So that is the clearly slotted trimmer. You can use whatever square up ruler you might have. I just got this one at Christmas, so I have been enjoying using this trimmer. And then let me show you again how the corners can be squared up. Got rid of the dog ears. There we go. Now I'm going to press them open, and you could press the seams open if you like. Make sure you use a smaller stitch length if you're going to press your seams open, or you can press your seams to the dark. I will probably press mine to the dark. So now I'm laying out my block, and it's all half square triangles. As you can see, just follow the diagram. Be sure that you orient each of the pieces, each of the squares within the block in the correct direction, so that it's creating this cool little curvy look there, if you will. This is the Colorado. And a real fun one. It's all half square triangles. Each of these half square triangle units must be squared up to 3.5 inches. When I sew this together, it's going to end up being a 12.5 inch block once I get it pressed and squared up. So I'm going to go ahead and web the block again, just as you've seen me do each and every week. I'm going to start by placing this block right up here on top of that, or this square, excuse me, on top of this, the first row. Sew that and just continue on down, and then I'm going to add the third row to that, and then the fourth row to that, and then each of these columns will actually be webbed together and connected with threads, and then I will web the rows, and I'll do that in fast motion for you. So I've webbed these together so far, and so they're all connected with a thread here, which hence the term webbing. You'll notice here that I'm making sure that my units have that green curve, I'm going to call it, or kind of a hook, I guess, in the Colorado block. And what I love about webbing my block, especially when I have a lot of units that have to be turned in different directions, when I web it, I'll have my block laid out here on the side of my machine, and it just ensures, it helps me to ensure that the rows are going together properly, and that each and every square within the row is oriented properly so that it creates the design that I'm looking for. And before I sew my rows together now, I'm just studying it, making sure that I've got all the colors where they're supposed to be, my mediums where I want them, my darks where I want them, the lights where I want them, and that the hooks are actually forming properly for the Colorado. And now that that looks good, I'm going to go ahead and get these all pressed or sewn together. You'll notice that I finger pressed these seams going this way, these seams on the second row going that way, these seams going this way, and these seams going that way. And that just helps to put the block together for you. Here is the Colorado in Spring block. I've pressed it and I have scored it up to 12.5 inches. I really love it. I can't wait to make some more of these. I hope that you'll make this particular block as well as many more of these, or add them with a couple of other blocks from my 52-week series and make a great sampler quilt. So have fun making your Colorado in Spring block. I think it's a great one. Hope you'll all try your hand at it and maybe add it with some of the other 52-week series scrappy blocks that I've already posted for you. I'd love to see them. Make sure that you go to my Facebook page, Quilting with Lori, Scrap Up Your Stash. That's a group page that I have. And you can upload all of the blocks or the quilts that you're working on. I love the quilting inspiration that I get from my fellow quilters. So be sure to visit that out on Facebook. It's Quilting with Lori, Scrap Up Your Stash. And I'll have some links below. I'll also have a link for the PDF. Don't forget to save that or download it. I will also include links for the Speedy Solutions Techniques book and the Patterns book, as well as the tutorial on how to get your scrap stash completely cut, sorted, organized, and ready to go to make beautiful quilts. So until next time, happy quilting.